Nick, Daan, and everyone else, I think I owe all of you a huge apology because I think I may have inadvertently caused the Mario Kart Direct to end up like it did. It's either going to blow me away or I'm going to be extremely disappointed because it could go the route of, here's just more of all the things you already know.
I mean, it's not your fault they made a glorified overview trailer, to be honest.
Well, thanks, Don. I appreciate that. Yeah, so hey everyone, Andre here along with Nick and Don to discuss in depth the Mario Kart World Direct that just happened. And then we got some things to talk about. Now, I don't want to focus entirely on negativity, so let's just get out of the way real quick. How did we feel about the Direct overall? Did we enjoy what we saw? Were we excited or surprised by anything? Don, let's start with you. What did you think?
Was not surprised by anything in that Direct. I mean, here's the thing. This Direct was made for people who didn't watch the throughout footage or didn't watch any analyses on the internet.
Yeah, any treehouse, any gameplay, they ignored everything, even including the reveal trailer.
Yeah. If you are not somebody who is really keen with like the Mario Kart community, this Direct was made for you. For everybody else,
yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Nick, do you feel the same?
Yeah, I feel the same way. I know, like, everyone's saying online, this could have just been an email, but honestly, this could have just been in Nintendo Today. They made that app for a reason, right? They could have just gone over every little feature, been like, hey, if you missed out, you can use tilt controls. Wow, I didn't know that was a thing for, like, the past, 15, 20 years.
Yeah. To their credit, I believe they did stream the Direct in the app, at least.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, they started the stream an hour beforehand.
Yeah. I think the biggest issue for me in this case is, well, a couple of things. One, having an entire Direct it brings an inherent expectation that there's going to be things we don't know. And there's maybe only a handful of details here that they covered that for anyone who that would be new for anyone who was paying attention to anything else. But not that much in the grand scheme of things, especially when, some of the talking points we had from Nintendo's PR had suggested that there would be more to it, both in the open world and also as far as it goes to like explaining the $80 price point, right? And I feel like this Direct didn't really fully address either of those. The open world is basically what we expected, the free roam, I should say. And then also, the price point, I mean, I was already sold before, but like this didn't convince me any more than it already was, So
I think for me, like, my main thought here is that it feels like I was waiting for that one more thing to happen, and it never came.
Good one. Yeah. No, there was number one thing here, or one more thing, which is something we were kind of hoping for, I think. And yeah, and there was not any single like big thing here that I was like, oh my god, I get it now. We already had that in the reveal trailer. This game looks amazing. I wanted to be clear. But when you have a whole Direct afterwards, like, wow, they got big things happening. But as I showed at the beginning here, my worst fears came true. So I want to start with some positivity in the form of shout-outs to things we specifically liked about this Direct. I'll go first. Toad Factory, baby! We heard the music in the Direct. We finally got to see it. I don't know if there was any gameplay of it before this or not. I hadn't seen any of it, and it was nice to see it in its full form. Even if it looked, like I expected, hey, I'm fine with that. Seeing Toad's Factory in the open world, perfect. Great. How about... Do we have any other shout-outs here? What else do we
I got one. Yeah. I'm actually excited about the rewind feature. Even though it's only usable in free roam and single player, like when you're by yourself. But even, like, knowing myself and how I play platformers, and if I miss a jump or something, especially if I'm going to be hitting these P-switches and going for these collectibles, if I miss it, it's like, oh, all I have to do is probably click one button and just rewind and do it over again, because that's such a cool feature that's in like NSO games, right? Like if you're playing classic games and you miss something, you can just have a save or even just rewind. So to see that here in Mario Kart World is something that I think I'm going to be using a lot when playing single player.
Yeah, it kind of makes sense with how big some of the cliffs are in this game, and like if you fly off it and you miss your chance of something, you just undo it. So
right, for me it was mostly looking at the proper multiplayer stuff. So before this we really didn't know what the suite would look like or how you would choose races. It seems like you can still choose individual tracks, so the 32 tracks something are available, but also the individual routes. For example, if you go from Peach's Castle, you have a lot of routes to choose from that you can play individually, which I think is a good thing, especially if you want to play a bunch of different multiplayer maps.
Good point. Yeah, I like the addition of there being more routes, of course. Like that's, I think, is a big point of this game, so it was nice seeing more of that. I've got a shout out that surprises me. shout out to Sky High Sunday, but they actually made it look not terrible. Like they do the cool thing where you can do that trick jump onto a wall now, and like slide along it, so you're no longer stuck on just the main track part. You can actually just ride along the wall, which looks way cooler. And that track, always had like funky physics anyway. And this seems like, for one, I'm sure it's better here, and two, this almost kind of like leans into it. It's like you could kind of ride on the wall before, but now you're actually embracing it. So I appreciated that.
Yeah, it feels like that track is way more developed or made for Mario Kart World, right? Because we saw, I guess, first Tour, and then it was, or Tour in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe at the same time with the Booster Course Pass. But, like, those Rhine Grill sections, like, when you hit them in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, you just do the spin because you're in anti-gravity. But in this, you can actually grind the rails. And, like, the section you were talking about, Andre, that makes the track seem so much more alive and so much more enjoyable to go on. Like, this will probably be one of my personal favorites when I actually get to try it in Mario Kart World.
I think that's my shout out too. I think they integrated like the older tracks in the world really well. Look, if you look at Peach Beach, it looks really unrecognizable from what it looked like on GameCube.
It barely looks like Peach Beach, to its credit, which is impressive. So, another shout out to something that had been known before, but I hadn't really seen it much in action and didn't really like fully appreciate what it adds to the game. Being high jumping, that is actually something, or the charge jump, I should say. But that's something I actually had wanted to have in Mario Kart, like a proper actual jump, and that seems to be it basically, and that's really cool. So it's nice to have that. We can actually dodge obstacles, and I assume maybe factors into some shortcuts as well. So that was fun to see. So, any other shout outs?
I was going to say the charge jump is such a cool feature. And is that in any of the builds currently being played at any of the Nintendo Switch 2 events?
I believe it is,
It is? Okay.
People just don't know about it, so I think they're not always using it,
That makes sense. Because, like I said, I've watched so much gameplay, even the Treehouse, and I don't think they really touched up on it too much, right? Like, to have a new, gimmick, or not gimmick, a new mechanic like this, I mean, especially for the open world, when you're almost going to be platforming and jumping around a bunch of places, it makes sense to have a charge jump like this. My biggest concern with it, I just hope it's not like snaking like in Mario Kart DS where everyone's kind of doing it and it just becomes kind of like gimmicky. Like, I hope it's something that you do it, I guess I want to say you do it like smartly, or you don't do it as often. Like, I don't want to see everyone just constantly be jumping the whole race.
That's why I think it's smart that it's a charge jump. It's harder to abuse that because it takes time to actually pull it off. And that's exactly what I suggested in my Mario Kart Needs to Change video. So, nailed it. Even if I totally, I guess I also nailed the fear of this direct being. That wouldn't show that much new. Any other shout-outs, though? I've got one more, if not.
Daan, I like the remix of Bomb on Battlefield in the background.
Oh yeah,
that's a track that I feel like is under-loved by Nintendo. Like, I guess it's in Smash Brothers, but we don't hear it nearly often enough. It was nice to hear it back, especially in its awesome remix form. So
that makes me think if you're in free roam, there might be some sort of radio.
Well,
I'm shocked they didn't touch up on that,
but
right? Like, that doesn't make any sense, especially with all the remixes they were playing. I think they had one from like Yoshi's Story. When they were showing off the food segment, I'm like, why are they playing this here? Like, this makes no sense because like it didn't really fit the area that you were in.
It doesn't feel to me like environmental sounds. It sounds like they have a radio feature or something in there.
I am glad they're not going the Breath of the Wild route for this. I wouldn't be surprised if you don't have control of the music, given it's Nintendo, and it may just play random tunes depending on where you are. Maybe thematically fitting. Because I think the Direct, I don't know if that was a great showing of it, just because I assumed that they just used whatever music for whatever clips they needed to show.
Sure.
But yeah, I truly hope there's a radio, because that would be amazing, and that'd be a fun feature to discover if they aren't showing it off for whatever reason. Though I do feel like they probably would have showed it off if it were a feature, but who knows?
Andre, before we get on to the next thing, you mentioned like Breath of the Wild, and I'm just thinking like, you're just driving and all you hear is just the dirt getting kicked up from the tires, and that's it. Maybe you hear like a piano, like a random piano playing in the background for like a second or two, and it's like, oh, that's the music.
That'd be hilarious. I think people just like, this is the most boring Mario Kart game of all time. And then I want to give one more shout out to the fact that Nintendo seemed to embrace the torture of penguins from Mario 64, where you could just drop a penguin off a cliff. As in every example where they had like a high jump or like a penguin or a character like flying off an edge, it was that poor penguin doing it. I don't know what that penguin's been traumatized from all the times he got dropped off a cliff in Mario 64, and Nintendo's just subjecting him to even more torture. So I don't endorse penguin torture, to be clear. I think it's funny though that was in this Direct. So in any case, let's move on to some of our actual categories. And I think one of the big new things that they showed off here, to a degree, is battle mode. Obviously, we knew it was going to be there, but now we actually got kind of a look at it, which seems to only have 2 modes that they've shown so far, if only in general, being balloon battle and coin runners. And it looks like it takes place on some bespoke arenas, like they brought back Big Donut from Mario Kart 64, which is awesome. But then we also had it's something that gave me a little bit of Mario Kart 8 vibes, and not deluxe. I'm talking about original Mario Kart 8 battle mode. Being some tracks just seem to be based on, on portions of a racetrack, which I don't know if that is super conducive to it. So how are we feeling? What are our vibes on the battle mode right now?
So looking at like the scope of the battlefield, especially, you could look at them better on the mini maps, which were in screenshots and not in the direct. It seems like they are like proper distilled areas of a course, but also like adjusted a little bit to make it into a battle course, which is at least better than Mario Kart 8, because those were straight up the race courses from the original.
Right.
Like with Moo Farm, you can literally drive around the farm. You can literally go through the grassy areas. You can literally go into the barn. There's more to that. Also, that train station in Crown City, you can move around up and down into different areas. So there is more to them. It's hard to say, especially if I look at the screenshots for the Italian track, the Salty track.
Salty Speedway, is it?
So it's near Salty Speedway. You can move around through the water, and I think that sort of creates problems of being able to hit your opponents from afar, or create some binding near them. So that is going to be the most interesting part, really, about the battle track. Is like, how much do they see it in the scope, and how much can you really interact with them continuously onward? And maybe that's my feeling, is like, yeah, balloon battle and coin runners are fine, but if you really want to make optimized use of the maps, for example, where is Shine Thief?
Right. Yeah, it would start off as, I'll remind everyone, a double dash mode. Yeah. So, where is it? Like, that's such a fun mode I always found, and it's a bummer that's not here, as far as we know. I mean, did they make it clear that there are only the 2 modes, or did they just show 2 modes?
From what we can see, there was an icon, at least in like the main menu when you're selecting what you want to play. It only showed the coin runners and the balloon battle, and that was it. Like, unless they're hiding more in there, I think those are the only 2, unfortunately.
Here's my big problem. I'm glad battle mode's back, obviously. My big problem is that it doesn't seem to be more ambitious. It's basically the same exact battle modes we've had for forever now. Well, maybe not coin runners, but it's similar to what we've had before. And that's a little disappointing. Like, I really was hoping that they would kind of embrace the more open nature of the gameplay, and maybe have, we talked about before in predictions, like having a roaming circle that changes the battlefield, like Fortnite, right? Like a storm that forces you into different areas or whatever. Or, I don't know, having different modes, like having different kind of competitions, or, people have thrown out the idea of like there being like a Crazy Taxi-like option. I don't know how that would work, exactly in multiplayer, but like just thinking outside the box would have been amazing. Right. And it's disappointing that, on the one hand, we're getting this amazing new form factor for the races, but on the other hand, battle mode seems to be basically the same. Though I will give credit to one thing. It does seem like, unless they misspoke in the direct, that this time it is actually like a last man standing type thing for the balloon battle, where if you lose your balloons, you're actually out for good. Because that's how it should be. I never liked how you could respawn in Mario Kart 8. So I'm glad they're bringing that back at least.
Yeah, you mentioned Fortnite, but a better comparison is Forza Town and Forza Horizon, where you basically go to a specific circle, you get a bunch of mini missions where you compete, and the amount of people gets smaller and smaller as you continue going through those missions. That would have been a really cool idea for a battle mode.
That's a great idea. Like, oh my god, what if they had... How about this? What if they had linked like battle mode to the races, right? So you have your battle, then you race to the next part, right? Maybe you get benefit for approaching the next battle mode area first, and then that gives you the benefit for the actual battle. Then you race on to like the third match, right? Like some kind of bridge like that would have been really neat, and they don't seem to be doing anything like that here. So
it's just shocking how much real estate they have with this open world, and the only 2 battle modes that they're bringing in are from previous Mario Kart games. It would be especially if they were showcasing this, be like, oh, and here's the third new one that you've never seen before. Like something like Knockout Tour, or what you just said, Andre, where you're going in between the races, but then you have like a battle hub. And if you get there first, maybe you get like a better item, or maybe you get a star right off the bat or something like that.
Or an extra hit or something, yeah.
Right. And it's not like they're missing stages. From the stuff I've seen, there's also one in Down in the Jungle. There's about 7 stages they've shown for battle mode, but there only are 2 modes for it.
Yeah.
Which I think is strange, you know?
It kind of feels like just like an obligation to Nintendo. Well, we gotta put bad mode in there because people expect it. But we're not gonna do any more than that, you know? And maybe they'll expand in the future, but yeah, I don't want to belabor the point too much. I was hoping for more. I'm sure it'll still be, hopefully it's still fun what is there. But it's like, man, you got this awesome world now. Why are you not really embracing this? But in any case, let's move on. Speaking of worlds, actually, I want to move on to the giant world, the free roam, whatever you want to call it, because one of the disappointments for me personally is, when they announced this Direct, I'm like, oh my god, could this be it? Like a whole the whole a ton of missions throughout the world, maybe a story mode, and not quite. But it did at least announce that there are missions in the form of hundreds of P-switches, which, at least in the examples they gave, included collecting blue coins or trying to make it to a goal within a set amount of time, like a time trial type thing, while avoiding armadillos, I believe, or something of that nature. And then there are other collectibles too. So yeah, the P-switches, of course, as I mentioned. There's also Peach medallions hidden around, which we don't know what those do. When they collected, like a silhouette of Wario appered, but I don't know how that connects to anything.
So those are also decals, and we'll get into the decals
those
a
are
little
decals.
bit.
Got it.
Yeah,
so
they're all of them unlock decals.
Okay, that was my disappointment then.
Yeah,
or my concern. And then there's also the hidden panels, which are, fun facts, based on the original item box art for Super NES, Super Mario Kart on the SNES, which is neat. But then I guess they're just unlocking decals too in that case.
Yeah.
So we don't. So I think objectively, having those things are cool. I'm glad there's stuff you can do. Right. I was hoping for a little bit more, and I'm hoping those hundreds of P-switches aren't just a bunch of time trials, and that there are like boss fights or some other kind of unique missions, like deliver a parcel to somewhere else or whatever it may be. But my concern is that since they don't seem to involve like NPCs, which I was like hoping for, like, hey, maybe there's like a toad that needs help with something, that we're not going to get those more interesting types of missions. How do you feel?
I think the idea behind it is really cool, the P-switch missions.
Agreed.
I think my main issue is they told us but not showed it. Like, show us the map. Let's show us how much P-switches there really are. Like, there's nothing weird about that. Like, show us how much content there really is in free roaming.
I can kind of see why they didn't show it, because they what are you thinking? Would they show a map with where the P-switches are? Because that would tell us where to find them, which I think is part of it.
No, just put a bunch of stuff. You don't have to put exactly. Just basically give us an indication of how much there really is to do in free roaming.
Real quick, you know what's fun? A fun fact, someone mentioned to me, they were watching the UK version of the Direct, or the Europe version, which I guess you were too, Daan. So you can confirm if this is the case. That they apparently left that line out in the European version, that they didn't mention the hundreds of P-switches for whatever reason. They showed the P-switches, I believe, but they didn't talk about there being hundreds of them, which is a weird omission. So, odd. Anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my concern with it, I hope it's not like the traditional open world aspect where it's like, oh, go to this region and there's going to be 10 P-switches and maybe they all do like the same thing, or like those 10 are the same 10 in another region. Like, there's not much variety. It is just like, oh, here's the blue coins in this one, and then you're going to do it over in like the desert region, and then do it in like the forest region. I hope there's a lot more variety, like what you guys are talking about, like the parcel, like, oh, here's Toad, or you have to deliver something, or maybe you have to deliver food, like deliver a pizza to like a Koopa somewhere. He's at work or something.
Like, you have to go pick up a pizza from, like, the Yoshi Cafe and deliver it to a Toad before it cools off, right? Or something like that. Like, that'd be really fun. But my concern is that just the inherent nature of P-switches and knowing how they work in the games, like, they're very simple activations. They spawn coins or blocks or whatever. And that's my worry. The fact that they're all tied to these P-switches means they're probably not going to be that interesting, you know?
Right.
Like, I want to be clear. I'm glad the P-switches are here. I think they'll be fun. But, like, it's hard not to be a little bit disappointed after the hype of it being a whole Direct and thinking, oh, maybe there is more to this open world. And it's like, it's not a whole lot more.
Once again, they could have showed a few more missions. They could have given more indication of what is out there. It just feels like they sort of glanced over it. Like, and that's not even getting started about the whole decal thing. They didn't mention it at all during the entirety of the Direct.
Which is so strange. So I guess here, who wants to take this unanswered question we have from the Direct? Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, so to this one specifically, or like another one, because I do have another question.
This one, this one, whichever you want, whichever fits, whichever fits right now.
I have one that fits one right now. Is can we activate P switches with friends in free roam, or is this just something that we're going to only be able to do by ourselves? Because they didn't really touch up on that. And if that's the case, is the only thing we're going to be able to do with friends in free roam is take pictures and casually drive around? Because that might be like pretty boring relatively quickly. Like if I can't do these activities with friends, or there's not like an event or something going on with friends, then we're just gonna be casually driving around. It's like, oh, here's a cool spot, let's take a picture, and that's it.
Yeah. Or make your own fun. Yeah, it's kind of weird, you know. It's like they could have, if they really wanted to, and they weren't cowards, they could have done a hide and seek mode.
That's no joke. I was just Natalie and I were talking about that. We're like, oh, let's go to like a specific area and just play hide and seek, like at Peach's Stadium or something, and just don't look at the map. Like you have to do an honor system and just don't see where everyone is, but just drive around. That would be such an easy thing they can add.
Yeah, you can still do it in free roaming. It's fine. It would have been cool to include, you know, because people are going to.
Right. I mean, yeah, exactly. I think that's just a natural, fun thing. But having an actual like gameplay system for it would be genius. Maybe making it where like over time, like the game suggests to you where the player could be, and that area shrinks over time. But of course, the better that player hides, the better they do. You know what I'm saying, right? They could make a whole mode around it. And in fact, they actually already did something kind of similar. It was single player version, but with the Luigi balloon battle or balloon missions in Mario Odyssey, right? Where that was basically hide and seek as well. And it's too bad they didn't really further embrace that for this game, because I think that would be a lot of fun. And that's what I was hoping for. But what else are you going to do as free roam? Like, and even if the P switches are there, like, does it matter in multiplayer? Because like, can we help each other? Like can we collect blue coins together? Like, I don't understand, and that's something they didn't do a great job of bridging. Like, what's the point of free roaming with friends beyond just being in the same environment together? So,
but going back to decals, then it's like
so this is a big unanswered question for you.
Yeah,
right?
Like, this is one of a big unanswered question, because decals you unlock through completing the missions. You can put them on the side of the card, and they are added to your profile. Do they do anything? I don't think so. They're just basically an additional cosmetic next to the costumes, right?
Yeah,
go ahead, Nick.
We did do a short on this because you could only change them in the main menu and when you're in single player as well. Because if you look at the character selection screen, at least on the treehouse, when they were playing with 2 people, they did not have that option. They had like the sort option or the controller option with the X button, but there was no plus button option to change that icon. So hopefully it does have some kind of interaction. Like I want it to, and at the same time I don't want it to, because like I don't want people to be like, oh, I have the meta sticker, right? Like you have to use the one that shows like a burger on it, and that makes you go faster or something like that.
Right.
On the one hand, yes, but I agree with you. On the other hand, though, Sonic Cross Worlds is already doing something very similar to that, and that was actually a really cool system based on the beta test so far. And actually, I used to be kind of like anti perk, almost, if you will, for multiplayer games. Like, no, I love everyone being on the same ground. Everyone's got the exact same stats, besides whatever the character and card you choose. But I feel like I've kind of changed over time. I've like learned to appreciate like what it adds, because it adds like variability, like replayability, factors you couldn't fully account for beforehand. And I think that would be interesting, but I think that's probably not what they're doing here. It is just odd, though, how much attention they are putting on those stickers, because you can see it on the results screen, I think, as Daan mentioned, or on the the profile next to your friend's webcam image. Which, by the way, I love the webcam thing. That's a kind of fun touch. Reminds me of the Mario Kart arcade games, only with a live feed now.
Sure.
So that's cool. But yeah, just weird how much attention they're putting on it. When is it just to gloat? Is it just to show off? Look what I got. I got this.
Because there's also achievements, and guess what? They unlock also more decals.
Also, why aren't achievements an actual system on the Switch too? They really should be at this point.
It makes no sense that they're in Mario Kart, and I think they are just called achievements. And they're in Zelda, right? Like, it makes no sense that they're like, oh, we're not going to add it, it's going to take away from the fun, but they still put it in the games in the first place. It's like, if you're going to do that, at least have the achievement system, and allow games to have the options to have it or not to have it, right?
But they also appear on the side of cards if you select them for your profile. They also appear on the side of the card. But it's like, so they're just more cosmetics, I guess.
Yeah, that's it. So, all right, let's go ahead, and I think we can maybe move into more of our unanswered questions at this point, like questions that we were hoping to have answered by the Direct or in general, and weren't, and questions that we still have about Mario Kart World. So this one may have actually already been addressed by Daan, but I want to get clarity on this because the Direct didn't do a good job, and it does tie back into the stickers. What did the Peach medallions do? Oh, we did touch on that, right? It was you said the sticker, right? Okay. So never mind. I'm going to move on to another one then. I forgot. Man, I wish Nintendo had, made that a little bit clearer. But it seems like a cool collectible, but everything's just, decal related, assuming they don't do anything else. That's disappointing. Okay, here's my next question. Is 200cc back?
And they didn't touch up on anything. They didn't even mention 50 to 150. We know it's there, but that would be something, especially if 200 was here, I think they would want to compare it or showcase it right besides 50, 150, and 100, right? But yeah, right. I don't think it's here. And mirror mode too, right? They did not touch up on mirror mode whatsoever.
Yeah. Which kind of makes sense. That's not here if it is missing, but yeah.
I'm going to assume that mirror mode is not back. Because mirroring the entirety of the world seems a bit too much of an undertaking.
Twilight Princess is high.
Yeah, but 200cc is the weirder one. I do think that 200cc should be there.
Especially with all the different routes available to you, and the gliding now being much more freeing, it seems, where you could really do some crazy stuff with 200cc. Yeah. So if it's not there at launch, maybe they'll add it down the line, but that could be fun. All right, what other unanswered questions do we have?
Oh, I have a good one, but they kind of did cover this. Are there any other additional items in the game? So the ones that they showed and they said were new was the feather and the Mega Mushroom, but those were in previous games. Especially the feather was in Super Mario Kart, and then it was brought back to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, but only as a battle item. And then the new ones that they showed was Coin Shell, Ice Flower, Hammer, and Kamek. And I think that was it. I know Mario Kart doesn't typically add too many new items to the games, but I was just expecting a little bit more than I guess the 4 that they showed. Am I in this boat, or go ahead?
You know what game they add a ton of items? Mario Kart Double Dash! All right, anyway, sorry.
And special items too, right?
Yeah, that's what I mean, yeah.
I'm going to assume that there's not going to be... If there's any more items, I'm not going to assume there aren't many.
Yeah. I don't think there's going to be any more. Because we've had the gameplay, the open, the public testing, basically, the demos, I guess. And I don't think Nintendo would have blocked anything from those in terms of item usage. And I think what we've seen is what we get. So I'm hoping that they add some fun variability, especially after playing with 10 years of much of the same item roster in Mario Kart 8 and Mario Kart 7.
Sure.
Even more than 10 years actually. So, but my hope is that, assuming this is it, which I think it is, that future expansions add more items. So, if we get a DK Island of DK characters, new DK tracks, maybe some more DK items. Maybe bring back the giant banana, for instance, right? So
yeah, I'm a fan of the giant banana because when you hit it, then it creates all the little bananas, right?
Bananas. Yeah, that's so good. That'd be so perfect for a big open game, I think. So
yeah, but so were you guys happy with these items? The coin shell is pretty cool because I love collecting coins while driving. The ice flower, I was hoping it would freeze you in place, right? Because it almost acts as the fire flower. It just kind of spins you out. The hammers remind me as bananas that you would throw ahead. So I do like the hammers because that's going to create chaos. Great, and then Kamek is I think the new horn or bullet bill. It's going to be the chaos item for this game, right? Because can you imagine if Kamek seems like it almost does he almost does anything. Can you imagine if you throw a Kamek and then there's maybe 50 blue shells? They just go all at once.
That'd be amazing.
I don't think I will go that mad, but the Kamek is also the way you unlock those enemy characters in the game.
Oh yeah, we did see that in the treehouse.
And Kamek does something that's pretty unique because it's one of the only items I can think of that has a random element to it, right? You don't know, as far as we know, you don't know what you're going to get, and that's actually really awesome. See, the randomness of the items themselves and the randomness of that. The only other item similar to that, I think, is Boo, which randomly gets you another item, so it's not quite the same. The effects of this, though, are different, and that's cool. And my hope is that this really does function as another way of helping to slow down the pack, without being super obnoxious.
Sure.
In Mario Kart 8, if you're in first, you really only have to watch out for blue shells and red shells. That's basically it. And this could be another alternative to that, where Kamek, goes ahead and mucks up with the front of the pack. So that could be a lot of fun.
I think the moments I've seen throughout all the footage that makes me very excited about Kamek is that he turns every single character into one specific enemy character, for example the cow or the snowman, and you unlock it in your game. That's actually very cool. I like that.
That is funny, but does that have any effect though, on gameplay? There has to be.
I mean, the characters have different stats, so kind of.
I besides
True.
the stats, I hope it hides everyone's icon, so you have no idea who's who. So like when you're driving, you see like it's like, oh, Andre's playing as like Mario. I hope it just hides it completely. So like you're just messing. Like I don't know who this is.
That's a good idea. It actually reminds me of the original Yoshi's Valley track in N64, where every player icon was a question mark, so you had no idea where anyone was. That was
That's
awesome.
really cool, yeah.
That,
But yeah, that brings me to a point, right? It's like, how many characters are there exactly? Because the screenshot bunch that we got after the Direct had 50 characters in there.
I think we may know, Daan. One of the screenshots or the new footage showed an updated version of that character select menu, and it showed 13 pages with 12 characters presumably being on each one, which is I believe 156 characters. The catch, though, of course, is that they're not unique characters. That includes all the costume characters, which I hate. Why do they? I like the costumes, but they should not count as characters. There should be a subset of that character.
The one thing I will say to that is that it's no guarantee that's the end.
There could be more. You're right. There could be more.
Like there are a few enemies that still aren't being seen in the card. For example, the Moai statues from Super Mario Land, who are also back, the Buttabuns, who are back in this game. They are a decal. They are a enemy in a level.
Right.
Make them playable.
Oh my god, that reminds me. My hopes were crushed of there being a possible story mode component involving Sarasa Land. Knowing that Mario Land enemies are back, and we saw like UFOs. Actually, here's a question: We've seen UFOs in the official. Was it the official art, Nick?
Yeah, it was the key art for the game.
Yeah, the official key art. If you zoom in real far or real close, I guess you can see the almost Mario Land style UFOs hovering above what appeared to be Sarasa Land or the desert, I guess, which we think could be maybe Sarasa Land now, given the fact that the Shy Guy Bazaar Palace now has a Daisy emblem on it. In any case, I don't think we've actually seen the UFOs though in actual gameplay, right? Unless, we've seen. What I'm wondering is, assuming they're not some kind of enemy or something, could they be maybe one of those vehicles you take over, right? Like we've seen that. We've seen watercraft. We've seen the trucks. We've even seen like a helicopter-like thing they can take control of. So could the UFO be another variant of that?
I honestly believe that. Yeah, I honestly believe that. Yeah.
I can see it two ways, right? I can see either you have to like fly above and jump like directly into it, like there's a centerpiece, or it just picks you up. Like how UFOs do, you just drive in and just
you.
Yeah.
That actually like that idea. Yeah, that pulls you up into the ship and then you fly it, then it drops you off somewhere else. That's a good idea. I think that'd be fun.
I love that.
Yeah, and so maybe I'll be on the lookout for more Mario Land connections when I'm actually playing it myself. All right, what other unanswered questions do we have from this Direct?
So, and this one you guys might be able to answer it, and maybe I can at some point, but the traditional courses, the only way to play them is it in versus mode, because it seems like Grand Prix and Knockout.
Laps, you mean?
Yeah, that's the only way to play them, right? Grand Prix and Knockout mode, you start at the one course, and then you're driving to the next one.
So, from what the multiplayer menus look like, it seems that you can only play specific maps, so the actual maps inside of the places, inside versus mode. It doesn't seem like an option. Well, obviously you play some of them in Grand Prix because the first track is always a free lap track. For example, Super Mario Bros. Circuit. But I think the vast majority of the regular tracks are seems for now locked to versus mode.
That's interesting.
And that brings up another question too. Like, and Andre, we talked about this on the stream. What options are we going to have for playing online with friends? Like, or at least online lobbies with strangers, too. Like, when I play online with you guys, like, or just any strangers, are we only going to be playing Grand Prix or Knockout? Or is it only going to be, like, Versus, so it's all 3 laps?
It's hard to say, Like, they haven't really told us anything. You can see, for the Versus options, if you just play with friends, that you can choose each individual route from a location, or straight up the track. But for randoms, they haven't told us.
Honestly, outside the lack of a story mode, the lack of details on how the online works is the most disappointing thing to me. Because we run, I'm not the only one of course, but we run a weekly Mario Kart tournament every week, and we know how that works in Mario Kart 8. And I was curious, will they have anything similar to that in World? Can we set up a tournament? Can we do knockout races or whatever with random people? Or can I even open like a general lobby, as if we were joining with friends, but that anyone can join, So will there be tournaments? We know nothing about this, and that was really disappointing that they didn't touch on. Honestly, was probably the most important facet of the game. I think that's how most people play multiplayer of these games, is online with randoms, not their friends. Especially, who has 23 friends they're going to be playing this game with, right? Probably not many, so...
Yeah, let alone trying to get 12 people to play Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is difficult. Trying to get 24, forget about it. Like, I don't think that's going to happen.
That was one of my questions, right? It's like, one of the questions I wrote down is like, are there tournaments in this game? Is there another way outside of making a lobby with people?
Right.
Because in the end, they finally updated Mario Kart 8 Deluxe with saying, hey, here's a code, you can now invite people to your lobby. Which I was like, finally, that took way too long, but hey, you did it.
Right.
Are we going back to just playing complete random or having to fill up a lobby again? Because, no, please don't do that.
I'm worried. Like, generally, if Nintendo doesn't show it, I'm expecting the worst. And the fact that they barely touched on the online, with especially for randoms, makes me really concerned on how this is actually going to operate. So I'm hoping for the best, but I'm a little worried on what exactly is going to happen here. But to be fully honest, I like, if we end up if like the online of the randoms just ends up being like individual 3-lap tracks, that'll be so disappointing to me. Like, if there's not an aspect of the Grand Prix or knockout races, that'll be disappointing. But the issue is, because back in the day, I think it was with Mario Kart DS, and maybe, it was actually with the very first online Mario Kart game, Mario Kart DS. It actually had a Grand Prix format. The problem with it, though, is people just randomly drop out halfway through. Like, well, I lost the first race, screw this, I'm out, right? And that could be a worry that Nintendo has going into... That's why they swapped to the single race format of 7 and 8 and others, Wii as well.
Yeah.
And it makes me worried that may be how this works, too. That is just single races, 3 laps, and it's like, man, that's just... the same Mario Kart I've been playing forever. Granted, with new tracks, new ability, you know what I mean. But
to be fair, I'm going to imagine that one of the random modes is going to be Knockout Tour. I mean, they would be bad not to.
I think you're right.
I think when it comes to playing like actual races, they either have to string like their own Grand Prix together, which I don't think is necessarily the greatest idea, or they have to do like the versus races, which is also not the ideal option. But either or. They have to find like a middle ground and make it work, and either or is not the exact scenario, but it's the only way you can properly play randoms in a significant good setting.
I could kind of see. I think maybe hitting something on there, Daan. I think how this could work is I actually do think the versus could work and could be interesting, where you can still have a light voting element, like it gives you a selection of tracks that are all close enough to each other, and you have the starting track and the ending track, right? And that could be cool, and that could be a fun way of bridging that gap without making it too time investing, right? But also Knockout Tour, it kind of works around the problem of people disconnecting, because it has an inherent element of just kicking people out that are doing great, right? And that kind of resolves that too. So I think those may be the kind of 2 options here for online races.
And then obviously Battle, which,
right.
They really should have added the Shine Thief, but
or like, do we even know, are there teams in battles? Like, can
yes,
you do
they
team
are.
elements?
Yes, they are.
Yeah, I think you can do teams, because they did show teams for versus, which is up to, you can have 4 teams.
Right. Yes, and those are
for
also Battle too. Yes.
Okay, they should have drawn more attention to that. Like, as one who's been following Mario Kart, I totally missed that it applied to Battle too. So
yeah, so here's the thing. They only showed that in the actual screenshots in the press kit, where it has different colored balloons.
That's so silly. Because, like, very few people are going through all 100 plus screenshots, right, to see, like, oh, what else are they showing here, So, yeah, weird. Anyways, what other unanswered questions do we have, if any?
Daan, you got one? If not, I got one.
You go first, please.
Yeah, so simple one. They didn't show how, but again, this could relate to the badges. How do we unlock new vehicles? They didn't show that whatsoever.
So that was actually confirmed on the Japanese website, surprisingly enough. So, just like in Mario Kart 8, it's by collecting coins.
Oh
no, that's a little disappointing. But
I think it's per either 50 or 100. They said it on the website. I forget, but it's either or one of those. Yes.
I think that was the case for 8 and 8 Deluxe, right? It was either 50 or 100, and then it would just appear on the screen like after a race or something.
8 Deluxe was even funnier because they made 150 to 150 completely redundant. So,
Wait, how so?
Yeah, because you didn't unlock anything by finishing them.
Oh, I see. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah. Well, we'll see how it works fully here, but yeah, I thought it would be fun that there were like an open world component to it, right? Like that would be a really great reward. Certainly better than a decal that may not do anything, right? And that's actually, and that kind of gets back to the whole open world thing. Like, are the decals really the only incentive we have to like explore, beyond being a completionist?
I guess the decals and the food, right?
So.
Which ties into the outfits, right? Like, if you get the food, it's going to be like, I'm not going to get the pizza from like Bowser's Castle, right? I'm going to get it from like the Salty Speedway, which is based on like Italy. So I think that's the other incentive. It's like, oh, you get to try the food, and it's going to unlock a costume that's loosely based to that region.
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of costumes. Like, good chunk of the characters have 10 of them, so there's a lot to unlock. But yeah.
But some have none, right? As far as we know.
I mean, mostly the enemy characters, which honestly makes sense. But yeah,
it does and it doesn't, right? Because it does. There's some enemy characters that I guess they're been so inherently tied to Mario Kart, like Lakitu and then Koopa and Shy Guy. Like, those are technically enemy characters, but they also have outfits. But if you look at the newer ones, like Goomba, I don't think they're going to give Goomba a hat. But it would be awesome if Goomba had a hat.
Goomba deserves his hat, okay? Come on, he deserves it. I would love to be able to put like a top hat on my cow, right? Like, maybe they got like simple customizations. That could be fun. Maybe not full on outfits. But as far as we know, they don't. So, whatever. I'm playing as a cow regardless. It doesn't even matter that much. But, anyway, you'll be actually. Oh my god, never mind. I'm not gonna get into it. But anyways, I'm already picturing some amazing cosmetics I can make for that cow. Is more my point. Anyway.
Wait. So I guess speaking of cow, and this might tie into characters. It does. Did they show how many different weight classes are there? Is it only gonna be like small, medium, and heavy characters?
I imagine
like previous
so.
games?
They didn't really pay attention to it, and like also vehicle customization is mostly gone. Like, you get one set, so it's basically 3 weight classes and the different vehicles, and I think that's mostly going to be it.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. All right, I've got one big unanswered question, and this is one I'm not upset about. I didn't expect it to be in the direct. They did tease it a little bit. I just gotta know at some point what the Rainbow Road is here, right? Like, is it amazing this time? Does it do more? Like, how does it even act as a racetrack, right? Because a big part of this, the huge part of this game is that all the tracks are interlinked. But does that apply to Rainbow Road too? Like, we don't know. Is it like a network of Rainbow Roads? Is it just a simple track that, you go into the sky for, then you come back down afterward? Like, I gotta know. How's this work? So, yeah, I mean, I thought it was fun that they teased its existence. Especially after it, they accidentally leaked the icon or location for it from before. Yes. But now I just want to know more about how it works, so.
And I'm hoping that this isn't the only, like, secret thing left for the game, right? Like, I hope, like, there's a lot more, and it's not just like, oh, Rainbow Road is the one thing that we're kind of keeping secret until the launch of the game.
Well, do you think there could be a depth of this game? Like, a giant portion that they are hiding from us still? Is there any chance of that?
If that's the case, I think some of it should have been shown yesterday, right? Like, like, especially after that comment, it's like, oh, wait till the direct, there's a lot more to show. And it's like, wait a minute, we saw all this stuff already.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. I almost wonder if Rainbow Road could be that. Like, if maybe it is bigger than we think. Like, bigger than a standard Rainbow Road track would be. Like, as in, like I mentioned, like an actual network of them that maybe does... maybe you could just glide off at any point, just go down to the planet below or something, maybe in free roam at least. Like, I think there has to be something unique here, and I really want to know what that is. So
that has to be part of a cup, right? Like, they cannot leave out a special cup. That would be just strange. But even then, I don't know how you would connect it between the two. It's going to be a bit wild and different.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, if you look at the other cups, they have tracks that connect to each other. That, like, Crown City, I think, is in 2 of the cups, like a nighttime one and a daytime one. So it would be unfortunate if that's all Rainbow Road is attached to, like, Peach's Stadium, and they just travel up to it on a Rainbow Road, like in the Mario Kart movie.
I mean, that would be cool.
That would be cool, yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, speaking of the Mario movie, how cool would it be if that track were an element of this track here? I mean, granted, the one in the movie is not like super distinct in terms of like layout, but we don't get a great look at how it looks. But just having elements of it, even just looking like the Mario movie one, would be amazing. But that track looked incredible, And a really fun element of it is how it, the blue shell destroys part of the track. Could that be a factor now too? Like, if you're on the higher part of Rainbow Road, a blue shell comes and just blows that part, you fall below,
Yeah, that's one of my favorite parts of the movie. Especially, I think when Toad like falls off, he's like, "I'm too cute to die" or something.
But also, I'm wondering, like, is it one track? Are there more tracks about the clouds? That could also be a thing. Yeah.
That would be amazing, yeah, if it goes even beyond Rainbow Road. Like other Celestial-based tracks, you know, like something on a planet, a Mario Galaxy-like planet or something. You know, I'm probably overhyping myself again like I was for the Direct, but I feel like
Cloudtop Cruise exists. I mean, it's possible.
Good point. Yeah. You're right, actually. That's a great point. There are other sky courses that could exist up there. So
Sky Garden.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I love it. That'd be great. So, all right, any other final unanswered questions we have about either that the Direct and the answer or about the game in general?
I just wonder about the long-term plan. That's my main concern was like, what is the long-term plan? Because they didn't really show it. Like they showed us more of like how the multiplayer stuff works, the game chat functions, which are kind of cute, but they didn't like go into what is this game going to be further down the road, because it feels like we're locked in for what this game is, and it's basically going to stay the same, which I would not hope so. You're still investing money into this game. It's a lot of money to spend for your launch game. Is there anything going to be there long term? That's my main concern with it.
Yeah, and Don, you mentioned that. It's like the hardcore people like us, are we going to be done with it by July 17th, which is when Donkey Kong Bonanza comes out? Is that what they're planning? It's like, oh, they'll play till then, and then they'll drop Mario Kart, and then maybe later this year they might have an update. But it would be great to showcase that in this Direct that just happened. It would have been like, hey, we're having our first big event, which is going to come out in like the fall, and it celebrates, I don't know, Mario's uncle or something. I know it's something random, but...
That'd be hilarious. We just find out Mario's whole family tree.
The movie did it.
Yeah. I'm actually surprised it didn't either, because like part of my thinking was with this being a launch title and Mario Kart 8 getting those random updates years later that they would treat this as a platform, and they may be, and they just haven't teased that future yet. But it would have been nice to know, like, yeah, is this an investment into the future? Like, should we be expecting more content coming down the line? Like, they didn't even mention any of that. And also, like, it's semi-related thought, like, I'm so excited for this game, and I'm so happy it is a launch title. It's just weird that it's basically the only launch title in that Nintendo they always have a single-player focused game at launch. And the fact that they don't here, I was really hoping Mario Kart would fill in for that by having some kind of actual campaign. And yeah, there is a free roam with the collectible trinkets or whatever and the challenges. But like, I was hoping that this would maybe step up and be something more, like more akin to like a 3D Mario-like element to it. Not obviously that degree, but so it's a little disappointing that no, this is the only game we're really having at launch from Nintendo beyond Welcome Tour, which I guess that's their single-player game.
Yeah, and is there any other exclusives that are going to be at launch? Like, I know we said first party, it's really just Welcome Tour and Mario Kart, but third party, is there anything else, or just like kind of like definitive editions or upgraded versions?
I mean, if we look at third party, there is Fast Fusion, which I'm also really looking forward to from Shin'en. They are masters of Nintendo hardware, and I always look forward to what they do. But it's also another racing game. It does support game share, but it's also another game at launch where the main game from the Nintendo side is also a racing game.
Right.
Yeah, like I don't want to be burnt out by racers. I did play the first one on Wii U and on Switch, and then Sonic's going to come out at some point this year, and then Kirby on top of that. Like, there's so many racers.
Kirby on top of it, right. There's a lot of racers on Switch too, right? Or accessible on Switch too. So.
I mean, I will say honestly, like Shin'en does great stuff for Nintendo, so I have no doubt it will be a good game. But outside of that, I don't necessarily think there are a lot of exclusive games at launch, really.
Yeah, if you're not a Mario Kart fan, there's not a whole lot of reason to upgrade right now, and I think that's partly why Nintendo, is doing that Switch 2 edition type thing where you get those Switch 2 enhancements. Although like none of those like by themselves have really like would convince me to buy a Switch 2, right? Luckily, I am a huge Mario Kart fan, so I do want it for that. But yeah, if you're not a whole ton here, first party wise at least, to get. But yes, I was kind of really hoping Mario Kart would like go even beyond what it has in the past, and I mean in terms of single player, but I'm still hyped for this game, even though the Direct is kind of a waste of time. Like, I still had fun watching it simply because it's more Mario Kart, and that's always a good thing. It's like man, after some of those comments, I was hoping for a bit more from it, but at the end of the day, the game still looks awesome, and the fault is that first trailer was almost too good, right? Like. How do you follow up with that if you don't have the content to back it up? And I think, if they just had not... I don't think they even needed the Direct. Like, this Direct is just redundant. That's the thing.
It's like I said at the beginning, right? It felt like a glorified overview trailer.
100%, yeah. It was a longer overview.
Yeah, and like, they do an overview trailer for a Nintendo release 3 weeks out from launch. They could have waited 2 more weeks and released it as this.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, so with that, when's the next time we're going to hear any news on this? Is it not going to be till release, or are we going to see like a little update on the Nintendo Today? Because I know they've been showing like the portraits of the characters on there, but like, is that going to be it until launch day?
If they're going to do like still an overview trailer, which I have no reason to consider they not, then like 3 weeks out from launch they will do another news drop. But I have the feeling there's not much else to really show at this point. Maybe actually going into detail what the decals do, otherwise of your profile of being on the card, which they even mentioned that much. But it's like, outside of that, it's really hard to find out what they really still can properly talk about outside of showing the game again.
Yeah, exactly. Because a lot of what they talked about in this Direct was really like just a few like nuts and bolts that they didn't cover in the original Direct, and I don't know why it took them 15 minutes to even cover that much. But it still like didn't even go far enough, you know. Like we had a ton of questions still here related to like the nuts and bolts of how this game works that we just don't know, like, you know, with the online and even like them still playing a little bit coy with the free roam mode a bit. Maybe not even that coy. Like I just, you know, they just didn't offer the best of ideas of what exactly it is. And my fear is that maybe they did. You know, maybe those mission types we saw is really just how that game works. You know, you hit a P switch, the blue coins appear, and then that's it. You know, you go collect them and you're done. And yeah, in which case this game would be a primarily, you know, multiplayer game for me at least. You know, so.
I mean, it's still not a bad thing. Like, considering how many hours you've spent on Mario Kart, it's never going to be an absolutely bad thing. It just feels like a weird situation to be at launch, where the main focus will be a multiplayer game in the Switch 2 editions.
Right. Yeah.
Of course, also GameCube, but yet, like, I need to have my full single player fix from a third party game, which is fine. I mean, I don't mind it per se, but it feels weird.
Yeah.
Do you guys think there would be any too much crossover with Donkey Kong and Mario Kart if Donkey Kong was launched? Like, do you think they kind of set that out a month later because of the pricing wise?
I mostly think they put it out later so they can have like a split lineup with every month having something.
Right.
Because now the first month will then be Welcome Tour, the Zelda editions, and Mario Kart. Then a month later will be Mario Party and Donkey Kong. And then August will be Kirby. So for them, it's purely, we have something every month, even if it's not necessarily the thing you want or want to buy. It's there for you if you really want something. Which also makes me more curious what they will do, like, come September, October, because they haven't really announced beyond Kirby what they're really going to do.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, I just want like that consistent release cadence. I was just, you know, hoping on top of Mario Kart, which is going to be awesome, hopefully, that there would be like that more either single-player focused or more experimental title, which Welcome Tour doesn't quite reach up to, you know? Like, I think back to the days of the GameCube when you had, like, you know, Luigi's Mansion, which on the one hand was, like, kind of, you know, half tech demo, half, you know, half single-player, you know, new type of experiment. That I really loved. I thought that game was great, but, you know, it's a shorter game. But I thought it worked well as a launch title, and you know, they also had Wave Race at the time too to complement as kind of like the multiplayer title too. And we're kind of missing that balance this time.
You know what we're missing? And it doesn't have a release date yet. It's Drag X Drive. All it says is summer, so they could push it for June or even bump it up to the release date.
True.
Like you said, that experimental game, kind of like what you were mentioning, Andre. That could be it, even though I don't think there's a lot of eyes focused on it as of right now.
Yeah, I think it could be. If it got an art style overhaul, I think it could be that game, maybe, you know? I have heard from people who have tried it that apparently is more fun than it looked in the Treehouse, which thank God. But, you know, on the other hand, it just looks so freaking bland, you know, art style wise. Like, you compare that to ARMS that came out near the Switch 1 launch, and it's like, man, it's like a 9-day difference, you know? So, yeah.
To me, I'm like somebody who will likely buy Welcome Tour because I like the intricate details of a system way too much. But it's also, it's such a niche audience that will actually want to interact with that it feels like weird as a secondary title for launch.
Right, but it's a game, I mean, I think we can probably safely assume you're going to play it once and you probably won't return to it anytime soon, right? Like, it looks to be a one-and-done type thing. and it's just kind of an odd little tech demo.
I mean, it's the game I'm going to use to introduce like the Switch 2 to people. Like, here is a tech demo for the mouse. Here's what you can do with it.
You know what? I could see it getting big online because of speedrunners. I could see people being like, "Oh, how fast can I speedrun? Welcome to
How fast can I click through this boring text menu? How fast can I beat Super Mario Brothers at 4K now, right?" All right. Well, I think we're well beyond the range of the Mario Kart World Direct at this point now. Let's wrap it up real quick. How are you feeling about Mario Kart World in general? Like, regardless of what this Direct provided or didn't, how are you feeling about the game as a whole?
I don't think it changed my opinion too much. I'm still very excited, but it's mostly carried by those 2 initial trailers in the Switch 2 Direct. I think those were incredibly hyped. That I'm still excited despite like the bump in the road, so to speak, with this specific Mario Kart World Direct. Like it didn't change much. Like didn't harm it as well. Not really. I'm left with a few more questions than I was before, which why didn't they bring up certain stuff and things? But ultimately, am I still going to have a good time playing Mario Kart at launch day? Yeah.
Yeah. All right. How about you, Nick?
Yeah, I'm kind of like iffy because, like, again, seeing the first presentation at the Switch 2 Direct of Mario Kart World, I was like so excited. I was like, oh my god, I'm sold on this game no matter what. So, and that's the thing, like, we're all sold. I don't think the general public or like just a person that was on the fence about getting a Switch 2 is going to be sold on it, especially if they saw the Switch 2 presentation and they're like, oh, this looks amazing or this looks cool, and then they see this again, they're like, I'm not sure now. Like, if that's all you really have, Nintendo, then I can wait months if not years to pick up the Switch 2.
That's
I mean, to be honest, I actually think they presented the game better in the initial reveal trailer than they did here. You know, I thought it was just right? Yeah, it was better paced, more interesting. They've really made it look a ton of fun. This one isn't going through like, Mario's back, Yoshi's back. It's like, yeah, everyone knows that. It's Mario Kart. Of course Mario's back. Why are you wasting my time with this?
Like even the small details. I was shocked that they didn't go into some of the weirder characters in this game. Like, I had to see it for the screenshot batch afterwards. It's like, no. Show it in the Direct. That's fun. Why not?
Especially for like the nostalgia factor, like a lot of us, a lot of parents grew up now with like a lot of games that those characters are referencing, like the Mario 60, like the Snowman from Mario 64, for instance, right?
Yeah.
And it'd been fun to just play up a little bit more rather than just focusing on the core cast. In any case, regardless of this Direct, which I honestly think, like, for me personally, like, my hype would probably be higher had it not been for this Direct and not the expectations it brought. Putting that aside, I'm hyped for this game. It looks great. I'm still excited that they're finally exploring this open world format. Super cool. Can't wait to try it myself. And which I may be soon at the Dallas event if I decide to go to that or not. And yeah, the game still looks great. Just this Direct is almost entirely unnecessary, and I think, as Daan said, should have been an overview trailer at this point. So
yeah.
In any case, that's it for us here, everyone. Daan, where can people follow you at if they want to find out more from you?
You can find me on Twitch, Blue Sky, whatever you find, also YouTube, which is at Nintendo, is NANTNDAAN.
Perfect. And how about you, Nick?
Yeah, you can find me here on GameXplain, and you can also find me on my personal channel, which is Steftendo. That's STEFTENDO. And one more thing to note: we can finally pre-order the Switch 2 here in the States now.
We didn't touch on that. Yeah, finally the announcement, and also the good news in that the prices have not changed, but for the most part, except for a few accessories. Which, by the way, probably is on. I may have actually no. Honestly, the camera, I think it's cool. It's too much though. Like, I'm not spending $60 on something.
I will be honest, I was thinking about getting the camera specifically for Mario Party. Now I'm thinking about getting it on launch day.
Yeah, it's fair enough. I think it does add a cool component. I honestly, for me, I just don't play with my friends online often enough that I don't think it warranted. But I do think it's cool that they can use a single camera, pull out 4 faces from it, and use that, for 4-player action online. Or I assume online as well, and that's actually really neat. So I think it's a clever use of it, but like, at that price point, I may hold out or may skip it for now at least. So, but yeah, that's it for us here. Oh, sorry.
No, I would just say, I pre-ordered it like a while ago.
Nice. Yeah, I know you didn't have to wait unlike us, us North Americans. So with everyone, thank you so much for watching, and let us know in the comments what you thought of the Mario Kart Direct. Were you excited for it? Did it leave you a little underwhelmed like it may have for us? And are you still hyped for the game in general at all, even at the $80 price point? Let us know in the comments. With that, we'll catch you later. Bye, everyone.